Hey guys, Rich here, and today we're going to take a look at how you can make a PDF meeting list using Bread that will show both in-person and virtual meetings. Now, the reason you might want to do this, or the reason that we did it, was because the meeting lists that were printed before groups started closing they can't be handed out because they're 90 something percent inaccurate. Most of the meetings are virtual now, and so we need something that can do both, and we need something that can adapt. So this is something that can be printed on 8.5 by 11 paper and or at least the way that we designed it was so that groups can print them out themselves, like right before the meeting. They could do it every week because as more groups start to open up, this list is going to change rapidly. So it's also not a situation where our area would be able to print another batch of 5,000 meeting lists or something. This is something that can be printed 10, 20 at a time, however many a group needs to get through their meeting. So how do we do this? Now, I have a specific virtual meeting list that we were using while there was only virtual meetings, and it only shows the virtual meeting format. Now, obviously, Bread, you can have different configurations. You could have several different meeting lists that show different things if you want. So what you might want to do is just say duplicate your current configuration. That way you're not messing with your main meeting list when you make this new one. Okay, so first thing we got to do is get rid of the virtual meeting. It's not used. Now this, if I say not used, that's just going to pull up everything from the service bodies that I've selected, which we have 5 service bodies here on this meeting list. Now, obviously, we don't want that. And the way that we're going to fix that is we're going to use the additional list function. Now, we select virtual meetings. Now, what that's going to do immediately, that's going to pull the virtual meetings out of the main list, and it's going to put it in a separate list. By the way, we're going to sort this by day and time. It's going to put it in a separate list that's going to go where the service meeting shortcode is. Now, if you're using the service meeting shortcode, which pulls the ASM format for service meetings, you obviously you'll have to do something differently if this is your goal. Um, and then I added that virtual meetings header, which is just a table. If you could copy and paste it from another one if you have to. But that service meeting shortcode has to be there, or the additional list will not show up. So now we have a list of in-person meetings. You know what? We're also going to copy. We're going to copy the format here because we could get rid of the virtual meeting link on that. Because something else that we're going to have to do, we're going to have to add the day, because remember, that virtual meeting list doesn't actually have headers for different days. So that way we can add the day and make it nice and easy to read. We still have a problem though, because if we show this meeting list, we see we're halfway there, because now we have the separate virtual meeting list, but we also have meetings that have this TC format, which means temporarily closed. So we can fix this by using a custom query. Now, if you don't know how to make a custom query, you should familiarize yourself with the BMLT workshop. It's bmlt.app/workshop, and you just plug in your root server. You're going to be taken to a page like this one, and that's going to help you create your custom queries. So we want meetings that do not have specific formats, and obviously we want to pick TC. Now, there's something important to remember here. The custom query overrides all of your other settings. That means that it overrides your service body settings. If you just say I don't want to see TC meetings, then you're going to see every single service body on your root server. And for our root server, which is the greater New York region, that's 5 entire regions worth of meetings. So we're going to pick the 5 service bodies that we use. And notice they're from 2 different regions. That's why they were being handled differently. Some were using the TC format. Some were unpublishing the meetings that were temporarily closed. And the thing about that is, if you were unpublishing meetings that were temporarily closed, you don't really have to worry about filtering out the TC format because you didn't use the TC format. Now we can add this custom query, and that's only going to apply to the main meeting list. It's not going to affect our virtual meeting list, because remember, all of these virtual meetings have the TC format as well, because all TC means is that the facility is temporarily closed. So now that that's there, we should be good to go with our meeting list. Just to recap, we made an additional list over here, and we used the virtual meetings format. We updated the template a little bit. And so you need that additional list. You need to make sure that the service meeting shortcode is there. And then, of course, we made our custom query to filter out the TC format. And that's all you need to do. Again, the whole idea is that groups can just print this out every week because, there may be one group that reopens this week, two groups that reopen next week, five the next week, 10 the next week. And of course, we'll need new meetings every single, new meeting list every single week for that.